So we're learning Maseches Pesachim Perek Rishon. The name of the chapter is Ola Arba'asa. So we ended off yesterday. Natab v'nivatle b'shir, but let him nullify his chometz at the beginning of the 6th hour. Why does he have to nullify it the day before? The Gemara answers, since there is at that time the 6th hour of the day, or the 14th of Nisan, there is a rabbinic prohibition associated with it. It is as if it were forbidden at the biblical level, and not any longer in his possession. Therefore, he cannot nullify it at that time. It's as if it's not in his reshus anymore. It says in number 2, once the 6th hour commences, everyone, both Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, agrees that the chometz is forbidden even for benefit by rabbinic law. As such, it is the same as if it were forbidden by biblical law, in which case it is no longer considered his property and cannot be nullified. Should he subsequently find a roll after the 7th, find a roll of chametz after the 7th hour begins and momentarily delay its burning, it will have violated the prohibition against owning chametz. So pushing it to the 6th hour was not a good idea. The Amar of Gidel, if one betroths a woman with chametz, he tells her, marry me, I'm giving you this bagel instead of a ring. He gives her a bagel, and he asks her to marry him. It's shava puta, it's worth a puta, so you fish halachically he marries her with that. But he marries her on the 6th hour and on, when chametz is forbidden by rabbinic law. So what do? Is she married or not? She's not allowed to take chametz, but he is offering her. So afilu bechitik udeniso, even with Cordanian wheat. What's Cordanian wheat? It says in number 3, this type of extremely hard wheat grows on mountains of Ararat. Ararat is called Kardu by Targum Unkilus, and is located along the Turkish-Armenian border, north of the area referred to as Kurdistan. It does not become chametz easily, even when it comes into contact with water. So it's hard grains of wheat or berries of wheat that they don't get chametz quickly, even if it's wet. We are not concerned about betrothal because he no longer owns the chametz. It's not his, so he cannot marry her with something that is not his. And after the time of its prohibition, one is not able to nullify the chametz. So if someone was sitting in the yeshiva, in the study hall, and he remembered there's chametz in his house, he should nullify it in his heart. And this is true whether it is Shabbos or Yom Tov. Now, the case of the Shabbos is understandable because you find when the 14th of Nisan falls out on Shabbos, Ela Yom Tov, but the case of Yom Tov is problematic. Bosar is Surah because it is after the time of the chametz prohibition. How can he nullify his chametz then? Apparently, one can nullify his chametz even after it becomes prohibited. And we're dealing with a student who is sitting before his teacher, and he suddenly reminds himself, he reminds himself that he has kneaded dough inside his house. And he's afraid that perhaps it will become chametz. So he nullifies it before it becomes chametz. In this case, since the dough has not yet leavened, when it's become chametz? Only once it rises. So it is still in the person's possession. He can therefore nullify. Dai kanami. Why are you saying specifically? There's a precise reading that says that he was sitting in the Beis Hamidrash. The Ketanya Beis Hamidrash. This detail indicates that the case refers to where the dough had not yet become chametz. Shmamina. Learn from this that this was so. Bread that had spoiled, provided that the total amount of matzah put in the box is greater than the total amount of chametz, is more matzah than chametz, muteres, it is permitted. Permitted for what? The principle of majority dictates that since most of pieces of bread put in the box are matzah, we can assume that this questionable piece is also matzah. It is therefore permitted on Pesach. I don't know what he can do with a spoiled bread. It's matzah. Matzah that's spoiled. That's really what he says. Regarding a piece of bread found on Pesach that had spoiled, so it is impossible to tell whether it is chametz or matzah. So he says that if most of the box is matzah, probably this one is matzah as well.
You go with the roof.
Yeah. Eichidami. So what is exactly the case? If he knows that the spoiled piece is chametz, how does it help that there is a majority of matzah? He knows that this one is chametz. Really, he does not know whether it's chametz or matzah. He has a doubt. So, but why specify that it is permitted if the amount of matzah is greater? Even if the amount of matzah is not greater, it ought to be permitted. Why? Because we should follow the last circumstance to determine its identity. Now, since the box was last used for matzah, we can assume that this piece was to his matzah, not roiv, not majority. Rather, we're looking at what was the last use of the box. Since it was used for matzah, we can assume that it is matzah. Didn't we learn the following laws in the Mishnah? Coins that are found in front of the premises of animal dealers in Yerushalayim. Money found next to animal dealers. Le'elo meiser are always assumed to be meiser sheni. Ba'arabais, on the Temple Mount, it's chulin, assumed to be non-sacred. Birushalayim, b'shas regel meiser, b'shas mashashana chulin. In Yerushalayim, if it's a time of the regel, the time of Pesach, Shavuos, or Sukkot, then it's for sure meiser, the coins, but if it's during the year, it's chulin. They're not non-sacred. So it's like you find money in Yerushalayim, it wasn't so simple that you can use it, because it could have been that it's meiser sheni, during the year. When exactly did you find it? Back then, it was a time that people would bring money to buy food in Yerushalayim. So it's meiser sheni, right? If you couldn't bring so much produce from their house, so they would sell it and then bring the money instead. So you find money. That money could be money of
but there is also
consecrated money.
Money when you find in the streets.
Right.
Even in July.
Meaning if it's yours or it's not yours, what do I do with this money? Let's say it's mine. Can I use it? If it's myself, it's not so simple. So my time. What is the reason that coins that are found elsewhere in Yerushalayim during the pilgrimage festivals are assumed to be Maaser Sheni funds? Why are you considering it Maaser Sheni? So the answer is because the marketplaces of Yerushalayim are usually swept each day. So we see that there is an area that where an area is cleaned regularly, we say the early coins have gone. And these that are found now are others. It's a new loss, new coins that are on the floor. Therefore, here also, regarding the spoiled piece of bread, we may assume that the earlier piece of bread, which were chametz, have gone. And the new one is probably matzah. Why then Rav prohibit a piece of spoiled bread unless the amount of matzah is greater? Why is he? I would say, why does he conditions his permission as that it's considered that it would be matzah only if there is a roiv? He should say, let's follow like the market of Yerushalayim. Since they're cleaned every day, I would assume right away that this is new money that came in. You can assume that this new bread that was put into the basket was actually a new dough, was actually matzah, not chometz. Actually, it's different because the spoilage demonstrates that it had been in the box for several days. We therefore cannot assume it is matzah that was recently placed in the box.
Can matzah get moldy?
Back the today's matzah is different, but back even today you still have
It's more like a lafa.
Yeah, you still have Yemenite and Sephardic, some places that make matzahs that are more thicker. Yeah.
Nephew who said he wanted to bring matzah to my house. Because they having Pesach with us. He married my niece. He's a Sephardi guy. And he brought
Thick matzah. Pitas.
pita.
Right.
But it was, it had the best
Extra, yeah.
Extra on it.
Yeah, it's flour and water, nothing else. And
So is it mutter or aser?
of course it's mutter. It had the best extra.
So,
It's maybe not Chabad type of
Right,
matzah, but
I
it is
that.
matzah.
right, it's still matzah, it's not like
Yeah.
kidneys or
We
something.
didn't dip it in the soup, even on the 7th. We didn't have the last day. It was
Shabbos.
crazy. It was like, okay, I got it. If I'm in it.
Yeah, but it had the holes. It did not rise, and just because it was thicker doesn't mean it's chametz.
But it wasn't hard. It was like,
Right? Yeah. Very interesting.
it looked like a lafa.
It would be interesting to taste it. It probably.
I tried it.
Wasn't bad.
Your
a
chayv,
lafa.
I learned last time around with Pesach that your chayv course eat chametz on Pesach. But kidneys, if you eat it, it's not the same.
Of course. Kidneys is not chametz.
Right.
What is kidneys? Eating good rice, and rice is. How can you say rice is chametz? Rice is not even. Some even argue that it's not even mazonos.
Right.
If you see rice, it grows.
We don't say mizonot on it.
Well, Chabad, they say mazonos on crackers, and they have in mind the
Yeah,
rice.
right.
Yeah. So.
If you're having sushi, I asked the Rav about that. He goes, Reuven, are you eating the sushi for the rice or are you eating it for the fish that's in it? The fish, he goes, okay, so it's shachol. You have to do something around it.
We do, when we eat sushi, we do mezonot,
Yeah.
then we do shakol with the water, with something,
Yeah.
to feel about
You
the
can do
fish.
the same. You can eat something else to have mazonos in mind.
I
and
often
then,
do that.
Yeah.
I'll take my wife says, you don't have to make so many brachas. This is the package.
yeah.
The worst thing.
It's better. It says David HaMelech instituted 100 blessings a day. So you have to get the 100.
That's what I said. I'm trying to make 100.
Yeah. Try to make
You
it
know what?
100.
I won't do it.
Of course it's tov.
So don't want to take a walk. What do you mean? We're not going to do it. 100 blessings, 100
She says it
blessings.
playfully. They complain.
Yeah.
It's only playful.
Good.
It's true. Only playful.
So the Gemara says, Shani Acha, they push him. This case, because its spoilage demonstrated it had been in the box for several days, we therefore cannot assume it is matzah that was recently placed in the box. The Gemara says, okay, let's go along these lines. If its degree of spoilage demonstrate that it had been in the box for several days, kirov so matzah mayave, what difference does it make that the amount of matzah is greater? Since this piece was evidently in the box from the time the box was used for chametz, it should be forbidden in any event. Do not say Rav means that the amount of matzah is greater. Rather say we means that the days of matzah are many. That is, the piece was found so many days after Pesach began that it could have spoiled during that period. If so, it is obvious that the spoiled piece is permitted. So the Gemara isolates a case in which Rav's ruling would not be obvious. It is needed only in a case where its degree of spoilage is great, it's completely spoiled. You might have said, since its spoilage is great, this fact demonstrates that it is certainly full-fledged chametz, which was placed in the box before Pesach. Kamashmalan. Rava therefore informs us, Kevan shirabu yemei matzah loes, that since the days in which the box was used for matzah were many, Amrinan kol yom v'yomanam v'chamim ha'ofu shadol loi v'aposhet fei. We can say that each and every day he baked warm bread, matzah, threw it on this piece, and thus it spoiled greatly within this time. Maybe back then they made matzah
every day.
They can make matzah every day.
Because why not? You have the tandoori, you have what's it called? Tandoor.
Yeah, tandoor. It's a brick oven.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but I thought if it was.
In I think they call it tabun in Hebrew. Tabun. Tabun is an oven that has it looks like this,
Yeah.
like pizza oven or a brick oven.
They throw it on to the side, stick.
Oh no, that's a different type of oven. That's maybe that's a tandoor. You didn't see the matzah bakery oven? It's just
for
a
sure.
floor, a brick
Yeah,
oven
yeah.
that you put on.
That's today, but I don't know.
Yeah. But I saw some restaurant that have that oven that you're talking about. They stick the dough into the walls of and then they take it out.
In Uruguay, they made barbecue like this. Only in Uruguay. You know, it's country Uruguay.
Right.
They do barbecue, not like Argentina and Brazil. That they put on the flat surface. They do like this, the meat, and here is the
The
dish.
heat.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
different.
I saw a guy that takes very thin meat and they give it to him raw in a restaurant. They give it to you on a plate, and they give you very hot rock
Oh, you
in
put it
front of
down?
you, and you put the meat on the rock for like probably 10 seconds, and then you have tongues. You take it out and you put it on the other side of the rock,
Wow.
and then you have all the sauces and you eat it.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the rock is really hot.
Yeah.
A
Wow.
hot rock.
So it's fresh.
It's
Fresh
here, or it's here.
What?
It's around here.
I saw it in Israel.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah.
It's here.
And
I was
thought-
in Greece on a little island, Eos, 50 years ago. And there's a little place, I mean, there's only one car on the whole island. But they had an animal on a spit,
Yeah.
and it had a big fire underneath it, and it had a kid hired to
To turn it.
slow.
Poor guy.
That's what he did. That was his job. No, lucky guy, he had a job.
I had a neighbor that on the holiday, he took out this rotisserie barbecue style, and he had I think it was a goat, hopefully, or lamb, and it was like circling all day.
It's motorized.
Yeah, motorized. It was circling all day,
Yeah, right.
and I came in the evening. I came home. It was probably 5 o'clock. He lowered it. There's a wheel that lowers it down, and then it's like the final stages of of cooking, and then people were just chopping it directly from the.
In Brazil, we call this like
Souvlaki, in
dog's
Greece.
TV. Dog's TV.
Wow.
'Cause the
My
dog's
neighbor
TV.
was there.
You think you have kosher souvlaki? I never see.
The guy did it in the front
I
yard.
never
Like,
see, like, like you go for shish kebab, they don't give you a chopped meat, they don't give you like a solid.
yeah. Well,
The
shish
cubes.
kebab is grind meat that
Or no,
put
but
together.
I wanted the one with the cubes, the cube meat, not the, like on a.
Oh, that's something else. That goulash.
Yeah, no, but I wanted a pita, with the
Right.
sandwich.
But I saw also-
I don't think they don't serve it that way. Because it's very liquidy, so it would make the bread wet. Yeah.
It wouldn't work with a pita.
No.
In another place in Greece I saw, they had, the heat was on the side, like electric heater, and they had the meat this way, and it was turning.
Like shawarma.
But the interesting, the Korban Pesach needed to be done that way, but they could not use the metals.
Right, because then it would cook from the inside.
Yeah.
Ju-
Because it would be
That's not
heating the
roasting.
So they
inside.
have to have a wooden.
They used like a pomegranate branch. pomegranate branch to do the rotisserie.
Anyway, I thought if something's inedible, then it's not really chametz. Like you
If
can't-
what?
This is spoiled bread. You couldn't eat this anyway. I don't understand what.
Do I need to notify it? Not as a chametz. How do I treat it?
Is it legal for me to keep it in my possession? Got to put a bowl over it?
Can I derive benefit from it?
Okay. All right. Fight.
So
So let's see what.
So Gemara says, Kevan shirabu matzalei, since Kevan the pushim ruba, since the its spoilage is great, igalia milso devale chometz malio. This fact demonstrates there is certainly full-fledged chometz, which was placed in the box before Pesach. Kamashman Rav therefore informs us that since the days in which the box was used for matzah were many, we can say that each and every day he baked warm bread,
Right.
matzah, and threw it in on this piece, and thus it spoiled greatly within this time. The Gemara proved above that if we seek to know the identity of something, we follow the latest circumstance. Rather than the majority of all circumstances, this rule is now challenged. Do I follow the last thing that happened, or I look at the majority?
Last.
Do I look at statistics, or I look at what happened just right now?
Right now, according to this.
The Gemara is challenging it. The Gemara says, "Umi as baso." Do we follow the last circumstance? Oh, Tanya, it was taught in a Baita to the contrary. Rabbi Yisrael says, "Teva shenishtamshu b'mos chulin b'mos meiser," regarding a coin found in a box, charity box, that was used for non-sacred coins, sacred coins, and meiser sheni coins. Okay, so you had a piggy box for what do you call it?
We don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
We found out, piggyback.
doesn't help. Right, saving money, you put money in a box. So you used it for meiser sheni money and regular money.
The same box.
Yes, was used for both. Now, how do I treat this box? I don't know what's inside. If the majority is non-sacred, we may assume that it is non-sacred. And if its majority is Maisa, I would assume that it is Maisa. The Gemara says, why? Let us follow the last circumstance. What did you put inside the last time? Did you put money of Maisa or did you put money of Chulin? So we see that we don't follow the last circumstance. We look actually the majority. That's what I mean, the statistics. The statistics are majority, right? We look at the
Numbers.
The numbers. See what happened, how many cases, how many this, how many that. What are we dealing with here? The box was used for non-sacred money, chulin, and ma'aseh sheni money. He doesn't know which one he was used. Which one was the last one? Was it ma'aseh or was it chulin? The case is where he piles a non-sacred coins and piles of ma'aser sheni coins were used in the box at the same time. Piles. The case is where the coin was found in a hole in the box. In a hole in the box. It says in 32, since it was concealed in a hole, the owner might not have seen it when he cleared out the box to make way for the latest set of coins. Therefore, the coins is not necessarily from the latest set.
So we have an answer? Which one we follow?
It's in the same. You have two answers, meaning you have. Obviously, Bar Yehuda says if the majority is chulin, you follow chulin. If the majority is ma'aser, you're going ma'aser. But Rav Nachman says it's only in the case that we don't know what was the last thing that went in. But that's why we follow the majority. Meaning in a regular case, according to Rav Nachman, we would not follow the majority.
For the last.
we would follow the last. But according to Rabbi Yossi, it seems like we do follow the majority. Rabbi Yehuda says if someone search for chometz, he has to say bracha, and that's really halacha. That's what we do. Al b'dikas chometz, right? So bocha to Hashem. What is the blessing of Papi? Oma mishmid Rava. Papi said the name of Rava ever levor chometz, to dispose chometz. Of Papi Oma mishmid Rava al bir chometz. He says to this bracha of disposal of chometz. There is a rule which states that the blessing for a mitzvah should be recited before performing the mitzvah. Therefore, the text of the blessing is acceptable only if it can be understood as referring to a future event. In light of this rule, the Gemara discusses a preceding dispute. So you don't say, I did it, I'm going to do it. Lehadlik ner Chanukah, lehadlik ner Shabbos. So you're going to do it. Not something that you did already. Mitzvah is over lasios. Before you do them.
Why you don't have a bracha before giving tzedakah? If it's so great, not to embarrass the
Not
person.
starve the person.
Yeah, it's one of the interpretations is not to. A guy say, "Oh, I need to say bracha. I got to wash my hands. I got to put my gartel on. I got to just give it right away."
Okay.
So there'll be
There
no
was a case
delays.
that the rabbis were in the lake swimming, and the guy needed money. They said, "No, we'll finish," and the guy died on the beach. You heard that story, right, Menashe?
Yeah, not to delay the chesed. With respect to the term to dispose of chametz, no one disagrees. The vadai l'abo mashma that it is certainly connote the future. Levar connotes the future. Ki pligi, when do they argue be'al biu with respect to biu, with respect to the term regarding disposal? One master of Papa maintains that it denotes the past, and one master Rav Papa maintains that it denotes the future. What about this bracha? Regarding circumcision is parallel regarding disposal, which Rav Papi deemed unacceptable. According to Rav Papi, the circumciser, the moihel, should say to circumcise. Asher kisham yisrael lomul, not alamila. Also mechinema lomul. What should the circumciser says? Let them say no lomul. And one says lo yisagi de lavi umoy. It is he who must perform the circumcision, which is not true. Therefore, he has no choice but say regarding circumcision. What does that mean? If the moel is not the father, he doesn't have that obligation. The mitzvah is not his. The mitzvah is on the father.
But the father can pay for someone.
So the father doesn't know how to do it, so he hires someone to do it. That's why. Now, what if the father is also a moel? What should he say then?
I think it's better to do.
What?
The father is a mold, the father can do the
Yeah.
Brit Milah for his son.
What's his name? Sarah's son-in-law, Sarah Katrina's son-in-law. What's his name?
By granted.
Yeah, he's a moral. He took care of his sons.
Okay. So, Ma'ikal what can one say with respect to the father of the child? According to Rav Papi, if the father is a circumcised, it should say, Baruch atah Hashem, shekisham yisrael tzivanu, lomul, not alamila, lomul, to circumcise. Inachinami, this is indeed so. One who circumcises his own son has to say to circumcise.
So it changes the bracha?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you do it, someone else is doing it for you.
Okay.
What about the bracha ala shchita? You say lishchot also. So the says also nami nema. What should he say? Lishchot nema lishchot. The Gemara says lo sage the lav yishochat. It is he who must slaughter the animal. Then he should say lishchot. So Pesach v'kodesh ma'ikal lemeima. Meaning, if it's not you, you're doing it for someone else. You say ala shchita. But what if it's Korban Pesach, where you have the owner of such an offering is required to slaughter it himself, and hence If
There's no option now.
right, if he is the slaughter is the sheichet, he should say to lishchot to slaughter. In Achinam, yeah, this is indeed so. You need to say lishchot. Meiti v'ayis elulatzmo. One arranges the lulav for himself. Mevorach shechionu v'kimonu v'gianu lizman hazeh. And it told us this boy when he takes it in order to do the mitzvah, to fulfill the mitzvah, he says Asher Kiddishonu Mitzvah V'Tzivanu Al Netilas Lulav.
Yeah.
Right? But according to Rav Papi, he should say to take the lulav rather than regarding the taking of the lulav. Because what does the bracha say? Asher Kiddishonu Al Netil, regarding the Netilas Lulav. It just says, he should say instead to take the lulav. I'm taking it now. And what says Shani also David Nagbo Nafak Bey? It says because at this time that he raised the sit, he fulfilled the mitzvah with it already. Hence, in this case, the blessing is made after the performance of the mitzvah. It is therefore appropriate to say regarding the taking, which denotes the past. Interesting. You do the mitzvah just by touching it, picking it up already. Then Yachilotz's boy.
Yeah, because it moves somewhat.
Right. It's true. It's true. That's why they do with the Rebbe's lulav. They wanted to say bracha on the Rebbe's lulav. They would go and they said bracha and they hold it and they pass it on. They didn't do the whole
But you know,
nanuim.
when you do the Shabbos, when you do
Yeah.
when
They kill you.
when
Such a
the
long
Shabbos, lighting, they light the candle first, and then they say the bracha because if they say they because otherwise it's.
But that's different. That's different because it's you accepting Shabbos. According to some opinion, you're accepting Shabbos by saying the bracha. That's why we would first light and then say the bracha.
Right.
Yeah, but most of the time, all the examples that the Gemara brings, shchita, milah,
Right.
Four.
yeah, you're saying the bracha before you're doing the mitzvah. So why not to say it properly? Lam will not for the mitzvah of shchita.
Concerning
Yeah,
So
it's like you're speaking on a third person.
So you do the bracha on a meal, and then you do the.
Regarding the taking of the lulav. What do you mean regarding the taking? So he answers you. So he answers you that it's because he already did the mitzvah by picking it up.
But in Chabad, we say Al Netilas Yadayim, and then we wash it with the water that's left in the hand. So it's
Oh, in general, it's a minhag to rub to make sure that all the water reaches all places. It's not the
isn't that because we're doing the, that's part of what it's like we washed, but we always leave some water.
and then on
We
to
make the
Sudan.
bracha, then so we really complete the act.
Then the Tilas
After the
Yadayim.
bracha. I thought that's what it was. Because all places already washed.
Right,
You roll the sleeves up, to your shoulders.
right,
I'm not so
right.
careful. I mean,
I'll make you careful.
is yours your wife?
But the Gemara says that it's
That's your wife.
Say yes.
That's
Go ahead.
good.
Thank you so much.
the Gemara says that
Mr. Shem.
it's a segula for shoes
Yeah.
To do what, Rabbi?
You hear that?
Yeah.
to wash your hands properly.
No
Netilas
keys on the
Yadayim.
table,
Yeah.
no pocketbook on the floor.
Right. Shoes, no walking around in the socks.
No,
Socks
the
are-
socks okay. It was without
Socks are
barefoot.
okay.
barefoot. Yeah.
Kiss the tefillin on the Ashrei Potech Tedecha.
Tzedekah is to have the kavanah, not just to kiss the tefillin. It says if you didn't have the kavanah, Pesach you have to say it again. But to wash your hands, the Gemara says it clearly that you wash your hands with lots of water and rub the hands properly and then dry them properly, and that's the segula for shoes, for wealth.
No wonder I'm broke. No.
There's another one, is to work hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, the
This is a
segula,
goal for
yeah, to work hard and to say Birkas Hamazon also properly, because when when someone helps you and you tell him thank you and you appreciate it, you're giving him you're encouraging him to do it again. If Hashem gave you food and you're not saying thank you properly, then why would he be encouraged to give you again? So when you're saying Birkas Hamazon properly, it's like you're saying thank you properly to Hashem. with all the different kavanas that are already embedded in the Birkas Hamazon, which you know it's Moshe Rabbeinu, or the first bracha instituted by Moshe Rabbeinu, the second Yeshua, and so on. So these are the deepest levels already there. You have to try to say it properly. It's usually harder because the moment that we are satiated, we don't have the same excitement anymore. Why people do Netilas Yadayim? They're excited to eat the food. They're rushing to eat the food. That's why the food is running away. It's not running away. Take your time. Wash your hands properly. Dry them properly. But it's hard to slow down the nefesh bahamis. But that's our avodah. The avodah is to slow it down and to accelerate the godly soul and slow down the animalistic soul. It's like, if not going to eat now, what's going to happen? It's lunchtime. You have to eat.
No, don't you see?
I'm not hungry, but it's lunchtime. You have to eat.
We finished brunch 11:30, so even though 12 o'clock might be lunchtime, think about it.
Non-stop.
Yeah. So the Gemara says, Ve'ilchata, what's the bottom line? Oh, and one more thing it says about the sukkah. If someone says about the bracha leisha b'sukkah, Shani doesn't read the Agwa Nofak Bey. He said about lulav. The moment he picks it up, he yoytze. If so, how can the Baita say when he took it in order to fulfill the mitzvah with it, which implies that he has yet to perform the mitzvah. Yotzuba mibale should have said once he has fulfilled the mitzvah with it. In Achinam Yigmor says this is indeed so. The Baisa would have been more accurate had it said he has fulfilled. However, since the Tana wants to teach in the last part of the Baita the law regarding one who comes to dwell in the sukkah, in the first part of the Baita he also uses this form and states to fulfill the mitzvah with it. If you build your own sukkah, you build the sukkah for yourself, what do you need to say? Blessed are you, Hashem, who has kept us alive. If he enters the sukkah during the festival to dwell in it, he says, so building it, he is saying Shechianu, like he said about putting together the lulav, and being in the sukkah, he says Leisha B'sukkah. Now, the Gemara decides that the law in regard to the blessing for the mitzvah of searching for chametz, ve'ilchata al biur chametz.
So you don't know. So we should be saying Shechianu when we do the bedika after the bedika chametz, or
it says in 17 this term al biur chametz refers to the future as well as the past. It's consequently appropriate for a blessing recited before the performance of a mitzvah. In the case of circumcision too, regardless of whether the circumciser is the father of the child or someone else, he says alamila regarding circumcision. So he says that halachically, according to Shulchan Aruch, Yerideo, etc., Rambam, Ilchos Mila, you don't change the bracha because it could mean both future and past.
But, okay, so yeah,
past and future.
I still say it. So when you're doing the beer, you should be doing Shechianu on about the bedika chametz. No. When you go around, okay, once a year we do bedika chametz. Just like once a year we have the seder.
I believe we do say Shechianu
For the bedika.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
So the Kulam Mikom Bain at any rate, everyone agrees that we're required to make the blessing for mitzvah before performing the mitzvah. Minalan, who says that we need to make a bracha before we do the mitzvah? How do we know that we need to say a bracha before we do the mitzvah? Maybe we should just say Birkat Hamazon. Why do we have to say Al Netilat Yadayim? You can wash your hands. We don't need without a bracha. Right. Why do we say bracha before a mitzvah? Where do we learn it from? So the Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, all the mitzvahs one makes the blessing for them before their performance, before performing them. What text indicates that this word means before?
It's not a kavachomer we learn, Rabbi.
1
The
second.
Chalta Savata.
Chalta is in the past.
Yeah, but
Right, but where's the originally come from? Who dictates that it should be this way? It comes Shmuel and says this is what should be. Ask Shmuel, why did you come up with it? He answers you. Or if you need to say bracha after, you need to say before. If you have to say bracha once you're already full, how much more so you have to say bracha when you're hungry?
Yeah.
You bless Hashem once you satiated, you have to say bracha when you're hungry. But over here it brings a pasuk in the Novi, I believe it's the book of Shmuel, and it says Achimatz ran by way of the plain and went before the Cushite. Okay, what is it? So what do we learn from this? It says he preceded the Cushite as they both ran to report of Shalom's death. The reporting of Shalom's death to King David. Achimatz is the one that reported. Then he went before them. He was a Merocha Vayavu Malkum Lifneim Va'avai Bereshim, and their king. And if you wish, say that it is derived from the following verse, and the king goes before them with Hashem at their head. So what is this whole thing comes to tell us? That the word over, which was used in the preceding statement to mean before. Sometimes it means before, like in the case of Achimatz, he ran before the Cushi, he passed the Cushite, and probably a person that came from the Cushim land.
I thought they were much faster runners.
Achimatz was an even faster runner. I don't know why he's running to say bad news. I mean, for
David was good news.
For David, but it's his son, so we know that he mourned for him, even though his son was after him. His son was after him, but still it wasn't right. So he cried for him. The Gemara speaks about it. He said 8 times, "My son, my son."
Is that the one who got caught by the hair?
Yeah, that's Avshalom.
Yeah.
Avshalom was a very handsome guy.
Weird thing, so.
He was a Nazir, and every year he would take a haircut, but his hair would grow so fast, that it was so long. He got stuck in the tree, and he wanted to take out the sword, cut his hair. He can fall down. But the sword fell down, so he understood that was his time. He said something not.
This kid.
Yeah, it's not natural. They're closing on him. I don't know why they had to kill him. They could have just captured him at a time.
Did he insult the king or something?
He rebelled against the king. I mean, you can argue.
That's
offense.
But
they take him to court, judge him, and we'll see what. Let the judges decide. It's like
what do they call those guys?
Yeah, they said the same.
We take the law to
They said the same things when the guy killed the terrorist. The guy's in jail for killing the terrorist. He was on the ground. He said, "How could you kill a terrorist?" He was laying there. He wasn't going to.
No, but this is one of you. It's Avshalom. His name is not Muhammad.
I'm just saying.
It's not. He says it's not a good comparison.
Not a good comparison.
A dog lying in the street is not the same as a Jew.
Isn't the guy? He went around. He went with all of David's
I'm not saying if he died, he probably deserved it, but still, I always had this question: why not? Why they? It's not like he was dangerous. It was danger to their lives. He was.
Right there, he was helpless. He was in a tree hanging by his hair.
Yeah, hanging.
I don't know.
They brought him down, and maybe he did tshuva. Maybe he changed his ways.
Well,
Hopefully the moment before he died, you did you?
Yeah.
you know, it'd be weird if we really had a time machine, we could go back and change.
Why
things.
no, not change. Why? Why should we change? Who would it change?
I know I'm not, I'm just, it's like, I'm.
If you say you want to buy a few stocks at that price, you know, now, okay, that doesn't change history, it changes your.
Bei Rav Amri. So Gemara says two exceptions to the rule that one recites the blessing for a mitzvah before performing it. Bei Rav Amri. Chutz min hatvila v'shofar, except for the mitzvah of immersion in a mikvah and the mitzvah of blowing the shofar. Bishlam tvila, it is understood why one does not bless before the mitzvah of immersion. Because before immersing himself, the person is not yet fit to bless. Why? Because he's tummy. That's why he goes to the mikvah. Ela shofar my time. However, in the case of shofar, why shouldn't we recite the blessing before the mitzvah? And if you will argue, because the blowing must be defective, that cannot be the reason. What has to do with defective? In which case it would transpire that the blessing had been made in vain. Oh, it's like you're not sure if the tkiya would come out properly.
Right.
So, so you can, how do you know the shchita comes out right? If you shechted an animal,
And you went too deep
and whatever, and it's not kosher animal, your bracha is in vain. Maybe you should say the bracha only when you find out that the shchita was done okay.
And about the milah?
Same thing. Except for immersion. So it's not about shofar. Shofar, you say asher kisham zitkar al mitzvah shofar, l'shmoa kol shofar, but not after. You said before the bracha. Only tvila it's a mitzvah that you do after. And I think women say the bracha right before the toveling. In the water before the tvila. Elam Chizda. It was also taught in Rabbi Tov Kohen Gadol. The Machzor, the Torah describes his going to the mikvah and immersed and ascended. But when he comes out, when the head comes out, he says Asher Kiddushon ala Tvila. And with that, the Gemara now goes back to our discussion in the Mishnah. One searches the chametz by the light of a candle. How do we know this?
Wait, he's still in the mikvah when he says this?
Yes.
His head's covered?
He can put his hand on his head.
That doesn't work.
Right. You can say it. Or there was a chassid that would...
I know, with his...
He would tova with his kippah.
Right.
So he would go under the water, the kippah would stay up. So once they moved it, and it wasn't coming out. He was like willing to die. He's not coming out.
He had a rubber keeper.
So they kept so for a while. It's not coming out. They situated. They brought back the kippah.
But in the shower, I don't keep my kippah in the shower.
I mean, too. I'm not going to the mikvah with a kippah. I'm not swimming in the pool with a kippah. Sometimes I wear a swimming cap for so not to have chlorine in the hair, but you're allowed to take it off. It says you shouldn't be walking 4 amot without a kippah.
Yeah.
So you could put the kippah on right before, take it off.
You're not walking, you're swimming. So.
Yeah. Oh, but swimming cap is a good idea because it does both. You get to cover and also it protects your hair. So why do we check the chametz with a candle? So Amar Rav Chizda Menan Milei Amar Rav Chizda Lamadnu Metzia Metzia. We learn the meaning of finding, stated in connection with chametz, from another expression of finding. Umetzia mechipus, and we learn the meaning of finding from an expression of searching. Vechipus mechipus, and we learn the meaning of searching from another expression of searching. So metzia from metzia, chipus from chipus. Finding, chipus, searching, and chipus mineros, veneros miner. And we learn the meaning of searching from the word candles and we'll learn the meaning of candles from the word candle. Let's see. Metzia, we'll learn the meaning of finding, stated in connection with chametz from another expression of finding. Ksiv, hacha, it's written here, in connection with chametz. Shivas yomim, 7 days, se'oir lo imotzo bevoteichem. 7-day period, leaven shall not be found in your homes. Uchsiv also, it says regarding the whole story with Binyamin, that he was blamed for stealing the goblet from Yosef, right? The whole story. The Torah tells us that Yosef is sending a messenger, which actually says it was his son, Menashe, to look, and he starts from the older one and he goes to the youngest one, because doesn't want to show that he knows where it is, so he starts from the top. It says Vayochel vaychapes bagodol heichel v'kotin kilo vayimotze. He searched. He began with the oldest and ended with the youngest, and it was found. So when did he find it? With the youngest. So we'll learn the meaning of finding from its own searching, from the expression of searching found in that very pasuk. V'chibus mineros, and we'll learn the meaning of searching from the word candles. It is written, at that time I will search Yerushalayim with candles. It's a pasuk in Zephaniah 1:12. God will examine the iniquities of Yerushalayim's inhabitants. Pasuk states that chipus, searching, is performed with candles. After demonstrating the Metzia, finding is accomplished through chipus. You have to, in order to find something, you have to search for it. Right? Yeah. Without chipus, there's no Metzia. Sometimes Metzia comes to you without doing any work.
Miracle.
Well, sometimes you did work for something, and then it comes through another source.
Right.
It's not good. Wow, look at this material. Yeah, you did work on something else. That didn't come to fruition. It did come to fruition in something else. That you
In a
didn't
different
expect.
way that you didn't know.
Yeah.
The big example of this is the fish. Remember?
Right. That the fish, when they're hungry, they chase after. They're chasing other fish, but if you catch that fish, the predator fish, do you find that the fish that he ate, if it's still in his stomach, you'll find it facing in, because he can't really swallow the fish from the fins, because they will prick him. Yeah.
Right.
So he has to. He's thinking he's chasing the fish. He's doing chipus. He's searching for food, but he opens his mouth and Hashem's sending another fish in. So you got to do the yagata and matzata, right? Yagata, you have to do the toiling, and your matzata, it's going to be a mitzvah. It's not necessarily something you were working for. It could be greater, it could be different than what you were expecting, but it's a mitzvah. Greater and better.
Remember what Rabbi Jagger said, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might get what you need.
He says you just might find everything. So finding.
If you try sometimes,
If you try sometimes, you just might find.
Right,
You get what you need.
Right, and another thing they should listen to, but it was a good saying.
Doesn't say that you can learn wisdom from Goyim, though.
Yes, it says emuna b'goyim al tami. You're not supposed to have to believe the faith of the goyim, but the chochma b'goyim tami. You can find wisdom.
What you throw away,
The emuna you throw away. The chochma you can. Yeah.
They're going to throw, but the chochma is it.
See, so you can learn from Rabbi Jagger.
So the chipus.
Jaggerstein, they short.
Right.
No, but in general, anything that they're saying in the churches and the you try not to avoid. You try to avoid it.
He just doesn't say anything in the church.
So, dichtiv ner Elokim ner avaya nishma sodom choifes kol chadri voten. It is written, a man's soul is the candle of Hashem, which searches all the chambers of one's innards. Tana de Rabbi Shmuel, Leila was Tana told in the Academy of Rabbi Shmuel, on the night of the 14th of Nisan, we search for chametz by the light of a candle. Although there is no proof for the matter, there is an allusion to it. For it is stated, for 7-day period, leaven shall not be found. And it says, he began with the oldest and ended with the youngest. And it was found, it says in Zephaniah, at that time I will search Yerushalayim with candles. Right? And it says a man's soul is the candle of Hashem, which searches, as we said before, the innards. What does that mean? A man's soul is the candle of Hashem. The derivation could have ended with the previous verse. At that time, I will search Yerushalayim with candles. The Gemara answers that the last pasuk is required to negate the following argument. You might argue that this pasuk, at that time, I will search Yerushalayim with candles, is a statement of leniency. I will not search Yerushalayim by the light of a torch, whose illumination is great. Rather, I will search Yerushalayim by the light of the candle, whose illumination is much less. I won't find many sins. I'll only see the big sins, but the small ones I won't see. Come then learn from the latter verse, a man's soul is the candle of Hashem, that a candle is effective even finding the little sins. We don't check by the light of the sun, by the light of the candle, by the moon, or the light of the torch. Rather, we use the light of the candle. Why? Because the light of the candle is effective for searching. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.